Among the pantheon of powerful Sith Lords, near the top sits the Dark Lord Darth Plagueis. A Sith rivaled by few, Plagueis would grow to become an immensely powerful Sith Master, one that would go on to train Darth Sidious, the Sith Lord responsible for toppling the Galactic Republic and Jedi Order in 19 BBY. Plagueis was a Sith Master whose life was as mysterious as it was nefarious, but his impact on galactic history is enormous, as he played an integral role in weakening both the Jedi and Republic and paved the way for his apprentice to eventually bring the Sith Grand Plan to fruition, as envisioned by Darth Bane 1,000 years prior. He's personally one of my favorite Sith Lords, both from canon and legends, and he's a character that I love learning about. So, let's dive into the full canon life story of Darth Plagueis. While legends information may be mentioned or used to help with making some educated guesses about Plagueis' life, this video will dive specifically into Plagueis' canon life history and will exclude legends continuity whenever possible. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Darth Plagueis was a Force-sensitive Muun male that would go on to become a legendary Dark Lord of the Sith and the Sith Master of Darth Sidious. At this time, very little is known about Plagueis' early life. As such, in the current Star Wars canon, Plagueis' birth year and homeworld are currently unknown. At some point, Plagueis became the apprentice of the Sith Master Darth Tenebrous. Eventually, Plagueis took the title of Sith Master, and while it hasn't been officially stated in canon that Plagueis killed Tenebrous, it's safe to assume that, in accordance with the Rule of Two, Plagueis would have killed Darth Tenebrous so as to be able to take on the mantle of Sith Master. Additionally, at some point during his life, Plagueis acquired the protocol droid 114D, a droid that would eventually go on to serve Darth Sidious as well. During his time as a Sith Lord, Plagueis acquired a vast amount of knowledge about the dark side and its teachings, and used that knowledge to gain a deeper understanding of the Force while also bolstering his power in the dark side. As dictated by the Rule of Two, Plagueis eventually sought an apprentice to aid in toppling the Republic and Jedi. While the exact date of when Plagueis came to acquire his Sith apprentice is unknown, the Sith Master chose Sheev Palpatine, a human from Naboo, as his apprentice. As master and disciple, Plagueis and Palpatine, who took the Sith moniker Darth Sidious, worked together for years trying to unlock the secrets of immortality and to execute the Sith Grand Plan. While training Sidious, Plagueis taught him that two Sith were required for their perilous machinations. So, if they worked together in accordance with the Rule of Two, with one of them serving as a bait for the dark side of the Force and the other as a vessel, they would succeed in acquiring the ability to harness the full power of the dark side and rule immortal for 10,000 years. As time went on, Plagueis was inspired by the doctrine of the dyad and tried to facilitate a powerful bond with Sidious. This doctrine was a philosophy centered on the concept of a Force dyad, which was a rare type of Force bond that paired two Force-sensitive beings, making them one in the Force, and granting the two beings bonded with many unique Force powers that were otherwise inaccessible to even the most powerful Force wielders who lacked a dyadic relationship. Plagueis attempted to forge a Force dyad with Sidious, but was unsuccessful in forming a Force bond with his apprentice. This failure by Plagueis to form a dyad with his apprentice ultimately convinced Sidious that his master was unworthy of the task. Years later, this would be something that Sidious would also fail to do with his own disciple, Darth Vader, despite their combined power as scions of the two strongest Force-sensitive bloodlines, the Palpatines and the Skywalkers. Nevertheless, like many of his Sith predecessors, Plagueis staunchly sought the ability to live forever, as he was unwilling to accept the Jedi Order's belief that death was a natural part of life. Believing the secrets to immortality lie in science, Plagueis conducted in-depth research into the biological underpinnings of life, with some of his research consisting of unnatural experiments to coax midi-chlorians. Though Plagueis' research was incomplete, Sidious was encouraged by his master's findings. According to Darth Sidious' book, The Secrets of the Sith, Plagueis discovered a form of immortality through transference, a dark side Force power that allowed the user to transfer their consciousness to another body, essentially using bodies as vessels. Plagueis became so obsessed with the subject of immortality that he ignored the signs that his apprentice, who Plagueis viewed as faithful, was progressing in a disturbing way. As the two Sith Lords continued to work together, Darth Plagueis had arranged for Sidious to become the Senator of Naboo and the rest of the Chamel sector. Under his public persona of Sheev Palpatine, Sidious was soon thereafter appointed to the Galactic Senate as a senator. During this time, Plagueis continued to train his apprentice, which allowed Palpatine to sharpen his political skills within the plan imagined for him by his master. According to Sidious, Plagueis was powerful enough that he could use the Force to influence the midi-chlorians to create life and keep the ones he cared about from dying, a precious knowledge that awarded him the moniker of Darth Plagueis the Wise. However, Plagueis also developed a belief that the Force could strike back at him for his power. In truth, Sidious believed that Plagueis had become so powerful that the only thing he dreaded was losing his power. Ultimately, Plagueis' only fear was bound to come true. At some point, Sidious had learned everything he needed from his distracted master, after which he decided that he needed no further use of his teacher. In accordance with the Rule of Two, Sidious broke into his master's apartment and disposed of Plagueis, murdering his mentor in cold blood, as as Plagueis was fast asleep and failed to act fast enough to prevent his own demise. With the death of Plagueis, Sidious not only gained the status of Master, but also acquired the droid 114D, the late Sith Lord's multi-limbed assistant. In addition, Sidious also inherited Plagueis' studies and in-depth research into how to live immortal. Additionally, Plagueis' death served as an example to Sidious, who regarded his master's trust in him as a mistake he vowed to never make. From there, Sidious would acquire several apprentices, which included Darth Maul and Darth Tyrannus, and he continued plotting and scheming to destroy the Jedi and the Republic. After taking Darth Vader as his final apprentice, the two Sith Lords were able to topple both the Republic and Jedi Order, succeeding in bringing the Sith Grand Plan to fruition, just as Darth Bane had envisioned nearly 1,000 years earlier. In the years that followed his rise to power, Plagueis' legacy and teachings were still felt by the now Emperor of the Galactic Empire. During that time, Sidious came to genuinely appreciate Plagueis for the planner and prophet that he had been. Sometimes, Sidious even mused about how his late master would have reacted when confronted with the trivial, day-to-day matters of imperial politics, remarking that Plagueis never foresaw that he would become emperor. But after 23 years as emperor, during the Battle of Endor in 4 ABY, Darth Sidious was nearly killed by a redeemed Anakin Skywalker, who turned back to the light side of the Force and threw Sidious down a reactor shaft to save his son Luke Skywalker. While falling, however, Sidious had reflected that he prepared himself for that scenario, unlike his master Darth Plagueis, and called upon all the power of the dark side to leave his body and thrust his consciousness to a clone body created by the Sith Eternal on the secret Sith world of Exegol. Nevertheless, Sidious's use of transference had confined his essence in a flawed vessel that was incapable of containing his dark side energy, causing severe physical deformance to his new body. Because of the imperfect transfer, Sidious later surmised that Plagueis may have kept his secrets with him to the grave and was having the last laugh after all. And there you have it. That's everything we currently know about Darth Plagueis' life in the current canon. As previously mentioned, Darth Plagueis is one of my personal favorite Sith Lords. Not only was he extremely powerful, but his machinations and teachings brought about the rise of arguably the most powerful Sith Lord in galactic history, and he played a large role in the eventual demise of both the Republic and Jedi Order. But what's your thoughts on Darth Plagueis? Would you like to see more stories involving Plagueis in the current canon? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you like this video, please help out the channel by hitting that like button and making sure you subscribe. Follow the channel on TikTok at SW Transmissions. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.